Hi, everybody. So I am just going to go ahead and go live. And so I'm just going to be talking about a few things. One topic that comes to mind is the fact that in my personal life, I've gone through a lot from having health issues to overcoming a lot of different obstacles and still going through obstacles at this current moment. So I wanted to get on here tonight and kind of talk about how to find ways to think positively when you realize that your journey is tough at the moment. I always have to tell myself that everything that I'm going through at the moment is not a forever situation. Everything that we go through in life is basically temporary in some way. So, before I get into the topic, welcome everyone to our first episode of Social Chat podcast with me. And I don't pre record this because I would just like to talk off the hand, and hopefully the words that I say don't don't just resonate with you, but also resonate with me, because as I speak, I'm kind of like giving myself self therapy. So tonight, or whatever time that you're watching this, we're going to talk about creating life plans, and when things aren't going right, what can you do? Life is full of challenges, but with the right mindset and strategy, we can navigate through tough times and become stronger at the end. So let's dive deep into a lot of things that we're going to talk about tonight. Life is unpredictable. And as we face obstacles at some point, maybe you lost your job, you're facing a health crisis, or encountering a personal setback. The first step is creating a life plan during these rough times and think positively. Now, thinking positively is an effort. It's easy, especially for myself. If I'm going through something, it's easy for me to just say, why am I going through this? Is the universe trying to really make it tough for me? Why is this happening to me? Why do these obstacles fall into my path? For me, I live with sarcoidosis. And for those of you who've ever watched my story on television and you saw the things that I've gone through, um, it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. Knowing that my face disappeared, I had to get on medication for years, take steroids. Now it's left me with different illness and different issues that I just basically have to combat with. I think most people recognize them a little bit more than I do. But I have to force myself to think of the bright side, even though as a human, I want to just scream and say, why is this happening? But I challenge myself on a daily basis, and I'm not good at it. I focus forward on, okay, I'm having a little bit of a setback. What can I do to jump ahead to move forward? So I have to look at my challenges as an opportunity for growth. If something is not happening in my life the way I would like it to be, like I currently have lost contact with people in my life, and it really breaks my heart. But I had to come to peace with it and say that there are certain matters that are outside of my hand, and what's in front of me, I need to work with that and make that what I focus on, because the other things are out of my hand because other people make those decisions. Like If you have a friend and your friend is acting a certain way, or you have a partner and they're acting a certain way, although you would like to, change your behavior or modify your behavior to hopefully make the situation better, it takes that person to say, hey, if they want to make the situation better. So all you can do is do things that are in your control and hope for the best, possibly, moving in a certain type of way, but it does take the other person that you're trying to, I guess, like try to see where your thoughts are in that situation. But if they're not hearing it, you have to be at peace with that as well. So let's take a look at an example that I have here. Take, for instance, a woman named Sarah. She lost her job unexpectedly. Instead of dwelling on the negative, she decided to view it as a chance to explore a new career path. Sarah took online courses, networked, and used professional development in different fields and eventually landed a job that not only paid the bills, but also brought her a sense of fulfillment. Now, I've gone through things in my life that have taken me to really look at it as a path to transition into something new. Um, I guess that saying is when they give you apples, I don't know what I'm talking about. I forgot that one, but leave it in the comments because I can't remember what that saying is. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade, I guess. But if you were supposed to get lemons and someone gives you oranges, then make orange juice. So another example I have here is John faced a major setback in his personal life when a long term relationship ended. He was in pain. He was so sad. But instead of letting that define him, John decided to focus on personal growth. He started therapy, exploring his passions, and building a stronger support system in the end. He not only healed, but also discovered a new sense of self and purpose. Now, I would like to discuss practical steps that I've taken and still take because although I use these steps, sometimes as a human being, I have setbacks. And so, like I said, me doing this those I can't even speak because I have Invisalign. The social chat is for me to kind of discuss just different things that affect us in a social way. Now, I would like to discuss some practical steps in creating a life plan towards tough times. Now, the first thing that you'll want to do is first take stock in your current situation. What are the challenges you're facing? Be honest to you and be honest with yourself. And also acknowledge your strengths and any past achievements that you have had. Although you're facing challenges, you still have to, like, I don't know, write things down or maybe think about them and say, okay, I've had these challenges, but from those challenges, I was able to accomplish X, Y, and Z. Now, for example, for myself, when I was really sick in 2015, I lost so much weight. I wasn't eating and I wasn't feeling well. I was very, very sick. Um, at that time, I became hospitalized and I went ahead and I lost my job. A car got repossessed. Just all kind of things happened. I felt sad about, losing a lot, being financially impacted because of my health. I was so ill that I couldn't even walk, stand, eat to feed myself, and even properly just do day to day tasks. And I was a mom. My son was 5 at the time. And basically, at that moment, without having a job, and I was almost finishing my doctorate at the time, I went ahead and said, right after I got out the hospital, I was in the hospital around March. And without a job, I just said to myself, hmm, since I'm not working and my feet are bloody, I don't feel well, but I'm recovering from being able to get out the hospital, and the doctor's finding out what the best plan of action was for me to get better, to get back on my feet. I decided to finish my dissertation. The dissertation was taking me so long, and I sat there and I said, hmm, I'm going to take a look at this research and I'm going to get it done. I'm going to talk to the university that I was using as my research group and see if I could come in there and get everything done. I had my dissertation editor looking at my dissertation to make sure that it was structured soundly. I was putting my research together. And during that time that I was unemployed and bloody feet and doing the best I could to take care of my son, I finished my doctorate. I went to my dissertation, I did my um, presentation. They called me Dr. K at that time. They said, congratulations, Dr. K. It was such a great feeling. So, just looking at step one, where you're looking at your current situation and looking at the challenges you have, and then you say, okay, I have these challenges. These are my strengths and achievements. At that moment in my life, I said, I can't work. I don't have a job. My car got repossessed. I do have my computer. I even had to move out of my apartment at the time to move in with my parents because that was just the best thing to do financially. And I still had a part time job teaching a class, but it still wasn't enough to pay all the bills. So I moved home with my parents and I had my little son. And I graduated from my program. You know, I'm not saying that, if you lay in bed and you are feeling pity for yourself that it's bad, but I will encourage you to, if things are falling apart around you, to find some strength either through inspiration, through stories of others, or just really diving deep and looking into yourself to see what are you most passionate about and what's going to keep you going, because the things that were out of my control was my health. I could do the best I could, but what I could control at that time when I had a little bit of energy was to get on that computer and try. Even if you're not doing a dissertation and you still have a goal, taking that first step to look at your situation and the challenges and look at your strengths and achievements help me and can help you as well. So the second step is to set realistic goals. Break them down into smaller, manageable steps. This will make the journey seem less overwhelming and more achievable. So, back to using my life as an example. When I said, okay, I'm going to get up and do my dissertation, I went back because the dissertation is broken up into five, chapters. You have the introductions to chapter one, chapter two, three, or four, and all that good stuff. Because some of my literature was old, because it took me a while because I was sick and I had to stop school just for like maybe 6 or 7 months. I said, are the parts of my dissertation that needed to be improved so that I could move on to that next step to validating my data and moving on to the next step so I can get my doctorate. I took steps and also was seeking help from mentors to see what their thought process was, and really just didn't take the entire task and say, I'm just going to do this without creating a path and making sure that, okay, I'm recovering from coming out the hospital. So I know I'm going to suffer some fatigue when I sit at the computer for too long. So I need to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back, knowing that what I'm doing I never done before, and give myself grace. So know that when you're in that second phase, setting the realistic goals and breaking them down into smaller, manageable steps, just know that sometimes the timeline that you do set for yourself, you might have some setbacks because of different things that are happening in your life. In my case, it was my health and financial. But just know that the journey will seem overwhelming, but if you break it down and you really like segment what you're trying to achieve, it will break those things down into parts and you can see your goal at the end of that journey. Now, number 3, the third, I did mention in my second step that I would speak to my mentor a lot. The third is surrounding yourself with a positive influence, whether it's friends, family, or mentors. Have a support system is critical during a challenging time. Now, for me, I've gone through challenges throughout my life. Sometimes I wonder, like, wow, why does this stuff keep happening? And what is my life? You know, I walk around, I try to put a smile on my face because I am happy to still be on this planet. But one of the things that I pride myself in doing is if someone is around me that while I'm trying to personally encourage myself, and then I have a person in my life that is kind of discouraging and kind of like making it their journey to tell me that I can't achieve what I believe I can. My goal is not to change that person's mind, but for my sake, I might have to disconnect myself from telling that person too much because if I can't influence them to react in a way that makes sense to me, then the best thing I can do is to protect myself by not divulging information and also just keeping it surface. At that time of my life, I did not have a big support system. I had a few friends, but they were doing their thing and they lived far away and they didn't know my day to day. And I'm a tourist and I'm not sure if all tourists act this way, but I tend to leave and take on a lot and try to solve it myself. So it's important for me that if I didn't have the influences around me, I will find things that gave me positive reinforcement. I would look for books, articles, videos to do that. And one of the things that I do pride myself on as a personal like protection is when people let me down or they put me down, and sometimes people do it unknowingly. It's just sometimes people that naturally that's how they behave, like they're not as positive. So I don't spend my time focusing on, hey, you need to say this better to me, or you need to do this better. No, I focus on the fact that I can't change that person. Maybe through my actions, it will influence them. But if the person is receptive, then hey, why not? But if I know that person is not receptive, that's not going to be my journey to, because if they don't see anything wrong, there's pretty much nothing I could do about that. So I focus on protecting myself. And I know that it's not the true answer around the surround yourself by positive influences, but in some cases, you might not have positive influences. And in my case, I didn't have a lot around me. I had friends that were also going through really traumatic situations in their lives. And I didn't want to give them all of my grief and sorrow. I would talk to them and we would have a good time over the phone, but I just had to find ways within myself to focus forward and be positive and promote that within myself. So, if you do have friends and family that promote you doing well and also support you, then that's great. But if you don't, you can also be able to do what you can, but you have to make sure that you find those positive influences for yourself. And they may not be close to you, but they may be found within different mechanisms like finding videos that are encouraging or reading passages that are great. Now, finally, staying adaptable. Lifespans may need adjustments along the way, and that's okay. Flexibility is key to overcoming unexpected obstacles. That's one of the things that I pride myself on doing is trying to be as adaptable as possible. Like I said, I've gone through so much in my life and I'm still going through a lot. Even doing this podcast, I want to break down in tears because I'm a very emotional person. But one of the things that I always love to do is to look at the world and figure out ways to adapt. Looking at what are the trends, what might be happening in the next few years, and figure out ways that I am where I am now and what will my future look like and how can I get there and how can I adapt as, obstacles will continue to happen as long as we are on this planet, living our lives, we will continue to overcome small, minor, or very large, unexpected, traumatic obstacles all the time. So, just to sum it up, those 3 steps that I said, or 4 steps, being able to take a look at your current situation, setting realistic goals, and making sure to give yourself grace so that even if you're not able to achieve the goal and that you set, maybe you said on a weekly basis, you're going to do X, Y, and Z, give yourself grace and set up a goal to match what you're trying to achieve. Third, surround yourself with positive influences. If those influences are parasocial, or if there are influences that from friends, family, or someone that you look to as a mentor that gives you positive reinforcement. And then finally, staying adaptable, making sure that you are looking at what's happening around you and finding ways to continue to grow within yourself. And sometimes when you're trying to grow and you might share your ideas of what you want to do, sometimes people will be like, that sounds ridiculous. That sounds crazy. At the end of the day, that might make you feel like you can't do it. Even the strongest person can get discouraged. So, if someone is always telling you you can't do something or that that's not possible, just always keep in mind that that's their opinion. Doesn't mean that you have to believe their opinion. Ah, that's it. That's what it is. Everyone, I respect, their thoughts, especially on things that they think that I can do. But I am the only one who can make it happen because it takes my energy to get from point A to point B, C, D, and so on. Okay. Now, all I have to say is that you can do it. Creating life plans during tough times is about embracing challenges, staying positive, and realizing that the journey, no matter how difficult it is leading you to where you want to go. Remember, you have the power to shape your own narrative. Thank you for joining me in this social podcast. And if you enjoyed my discussion with you today, Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Until the next time, stay positive and stay great.